Good afternoon or good morning to everyone. I am a touch late. I had to do an interview this morning and it was a bit of a journey away. So on the way back, of course, I'm like, I don't have any gas. Traffic was bad. So anyway, but I'm here now, 4 minutes late. I apologize, but here. So welcome to the document. Today we're going to talk about resolve and discipline. I think that's a good topic because we are now 1 year or 1 month past New Year's resolutions for everyone. And want to know if you made those resolutions, how you're doing. And I want that to bleed into a topic about discipline and resolve, which I think are two very important things to have in business. And unfortunately, not a lot of people have that. They operate in a different way, and we're going to talk about that. So, my name is Josh. If you're joining me today, welcome, and thank you for joining me today. We do this live every single weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we talk about business. Most of the people and in this chat are business operators, business owners, aspiring business owners, etc., 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 founders, operators, whatever you want to call them. It doesn't really matter, but they're here and they're in the chat and they're talking about their businesses and what's working, what isn't, all the rest of it. And my name is Josh. I am also an entrepreneur. I'm co-founder of List Easier, co-founder of The Document, which is List Easier's. These shelves are getting closer to me, it feels like. I feel like they're coming at me here. Am I wrong about that? Are we one closer? I think we are. I don't know. It looks different. Something looks different here. I can't put my finger on it. But I'm the co-founder of The Document. That is this List Easier e-commerce business and List Easier, the software business. The two work hand in glove and allows us to build this business, scale it, and put these numbers up that you see below. It has been a busy last 24 hours. Personally, I did an interview. This is for my former YouTube life, but if you're interested in that, reach out and I'll send you the link to it. But it was a fun interview to do. I was talking to people I haven't talked to in about 10, 12 years or so. So it was an exciting thing to do. We finalized the deal, the big $5 million for the listed product deal. So that first shipment should be coming shortly. That was finalized after yesterday's broadcast. If you watched yesterday, you'll know what I'm talking about. And it looks here like we are just starting to list. Spencer's got them lined up, these high value, very rare records. So some of them we set aside. These are 16-inch transcription records, 12-inch records, 12-inch phonograph records, one-sided records, samples, tests, some very early stuff. So that stuff is going up now. I'm excited to see how that stuff does because there is just very rare one-of-a-kind things. Those are going to be going up on our List Easier _records eBay store. So excited to see what that looks like. We will be using the auction tab to send these live via auction, and we'll see how they do. So that will save us some of the research on some of these because many of them have never ever been listed ever. They're one of one. So I don't know how they'll do. We'll see. And then I do feel like shelves are coming this way. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong because I'm kind of rushed today and I feel a little bit out of my element, but it feels like more shelves are going up, more stuff is going up. That's a good thing. That's what we're doing here. Okay. Let's go over some numbers, everybody. List Easier _records, List Easier _books. You can go to eBay. You can follow us by clicking us as your save seller or favorite seller. And we have two accounts. Those are the two accounts. We have 6,560 listings. These have gone up in 25 days. Today is Thursday, January 29th, 2 days left in the month. We have listed $157,499.40. So closing in on the $158,000 mark. Excellent progress for 25 days live, probably 15 or so days worked. Awesome, incredible. And our total revenue $6,584.22. So things are going swimmingly. The document, List Easier, the document, is this reliable business that we are kind of building, and it just goes every single day. For this business to work, we just need discipline and resolve. Discipline and resolve. So that kind of bleeds into the topic that I wanted to talk about today. I find with a lot of founders, they get a great idea. They want to do so. I have a great idea, or they already have a business and they're like, you know what? Monday, I'm doing it. Monday, I'm doing it. And they come in like a bull and they do it for a few weeks, and then they don't do it for a few weeks, and then they do it for a few weeks, and they don't do it for a few weeks. The problem is everything you gain in those couple of weeks, you lose in the weeks where you don't do anything. So although it feels like you're working all the time, you don't actually get any momentum. Nothing compounds. So you're just kind of up and down and up and down and up and down, but the trajectory is a straight line. The trajectory is a straight line. In every case, it is much better to just stay consistent. Don't overwork yourself. And this is all possible now, thankfully. We're lucky to live in this era. You work a chunk this day, you dedicate that time the next day, you dedicate that time the next day. If you miss a day, that's not the end of the world. Okay, so you missed a day, you had something else you had to do. That's fine. Pick it up again the next day. You need to take a rest. You got a headache, take the day off, then do it again the next day, the next day, the next day, the next day. That has a compounding effect. Many people who operate in that manner, as they go down the line, continue to build 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, 7 months, they don't really notice even a difference, because it has a compounding effect, but it happens slowly, but it does happen. So if you were to take who you are at month 0 and who you are at month 6, you'll notice this vast difference in how you operate, what your revenue is, the amount of product that you have up, how much you've streamlined your processes. But because you have discipline to do the same things every single day, not burn yourself out, give yourself a little bit of grace, you don't notice it. But if you were to take a step back, like I think a lot of you should, and just think, hey, look what I've accomplished in 4, 5, or 6 months. This is inspired by Primo Chemo and Spam Banshee, because they did a live yesterday where they compared their last 6 months to the previous year, and they had said they didn't really change anything other than listing consistently and using new technology, but they have doubled their sales in half the time. So what would have taken them 2 years previously to accomplish, they could do in 6 months. And they are reflecting back to look at how far things have come along, and I think everybody should do that. Lots of times, and I'm going to give credit because this idea is coming from Grumpy John, but a lot of times people just don't do something long enough. So either they give up too soon or they refuse to refine processes. That can be something very simple as inventory that you doesn't perform well and probably won't perform well. Some inventory might not perform well now, but will in the future. I was speaking to a distributor about that yesterday, how they've always bought inventory now for the future. It's multi-million-dollar business, tens of millions of dollars, one of the largest in the US. That's always how they've operated. But then having that, discipline to even, refine processes that might not be working. If the inventory isn't great, if it's in abundance, if it's not great, but it was super cheap, you continue to buy it anyway, you're going to get those results back at you. If you have the foresight to purchase appreciating inventory, which that in itself is a skill, and you have to have some room for it, but that in itself is a skill, because if you bet wrong and it goes the other way, That's not what you want. You don't want to turn into an investor in your business. You want your business operating. But that in itself is a skill. James has done very well with that, buying inventory that appreciates over time. And this business that we dealt with yesterday, that's how they operate as well. Things that are underappreciated, things that you hear about a lot, that there's a lot of hype about, it's the wrong time to buy, in my opinion. If everyone's talking about Pokemon cards, not the time to buy. If everyone's talking about silver, it's not the time to buy. If everyone's talking about baseball cards or, I don't know, uranium glass for a little bit there, that's not the time to buy. The time to buy is when, if this is how you operate your business, when the asset is underappreciated, and then you see a future where it appreciates. But it's always kind of risky. You got to diversify, and it's really not just that simple. The other model is to pick up inventory that moves quickly. Not everybody can do that. That kind of depends on your connections and your location. And as you grow your business, you learn more and you'll get better at that kind of thing. The margins may shrink a little bit, but that's neither here nor there. The primary thing I want to talk about here is having the discipline to see things through. When you start something, finish it. See it through. If you put in 50% effort, you're going to get 50% results. If you put it off and put it off, I know I have to do this thing. I got to fix these shelves. I know I got to do it. And a year later, it looks the same. That's not discipline. You have to do it. You don't have to do it all in one day. What if you just did 10 or 15 minutes a day? It would still get done quicker than just constantly, I got to do that. I got to carve out a day. I got to carve out a day. Do a little bit at a time. Just the discipline to keep going. And it doesn't have to be stressful anymore. Previously in this business, discipline largely meant grinding. Grinding is so 2024. 2023, 2022, 2021, that's old news. Nobody needs to grind anymore, but you still have to have the discipline to see your vision through. Nothing happens immediately. Sometimes takes a really long time. I can tell you that is the case with silver. It took 15 or 20 years to see the kind of gains that we're seeing now. It took a very long time. In many cases, business is no different. The longer you do it, the better you'll get. So you have to stick with it. Alex Hormozy is a big proponent of this. Every business you do, everything you start is going to be hard. There's no easy. It's an illusion. It doesn't exist. I believe in that as well. I believe in delayed gratification, but it's never easy. You start a business now. If someone else has been successful in a similar business and the market is robust, meaning it's got a large total addressable market, a big TAM, if others can do well in it, you can too, but you have to have the discipline to see it through. You have to earn your stripes. And it can be very difficult going through the learning curve. But if you abandon that, if you get to the hard part and that's where you give up, and this is where Alex Hormozy is very right, and you start something new, that new thing gets hard too. And then you'll quit it when it gets hard, and you'll start something new, and then you quit it. And that pattern looks a lot like what we started talking about in the beginning of this podcast is you go up and then you stop, you give up. And then you go, and then you give up. And then you start something new and you give up. But the trajectory, again, is a flat line. So, if you start with conviction, you're better to see it through, my opinion, especially in business. The time to abandon business is when there is no possible hope, no reasonable, logical hope of scaling the business or any sort of opportunity in the future. Like if you see no forward timeline for the business, then let's look at things again. If you've been working on this business for 3 years and you don't see a forward timeline, you got to take a look at things and be like, hey, what am I doing here? I got to make some decisions. Okay. With that, I'm going to jump into the chat. I feel gross right now. I feel swollen and I just don't feel good. Even though I did go to the simulator yesterday, I got some, good exercise in, but I feel like looking at myself. I don't want to feel. Ugh. Okay, let's go. Let's go. About dang time, says Primo Chemo. Welcome, Primo Pico. Keith, welcome. Good to see you across the pond, Keith. Eric Bressy says, hello. My day is easier because of List Easier. Woot woot. Hit the like button. Thank you, Eric. Appreciate you. And I'm glad your day is easier because of List Easier. If you enjoy these live broadcasts, definitely hit the live. We're a small group, but collectively we're a powerful group. I do believe that. Bearded Picker says, discipline to start on time. See what I did there? Laugh out loud. Oh, it's been crazy busy. It's very, very busy right now. I feel like there's no time to even catch your breath a little bit sometimes. It's been so busy. Joe says, don't forget us lurkers. Joe, don't forget about me. Give me a thumbs up. I appreciate you. Guess the Draw says, hey, yo, good afternoon. Good afternoon to you. David Varner, all the way in Kansas City, Missouri. Good to see you, David. Welcome, welcome. Lag says hello. Good to see you, Lag. Dixie Flipper says, good afternoon, everyone. I hope all is well for you all. Good to see you, Dixie Flipper. Welcome. Mike Seller from South Dakota says, hi, Josh. Time for my daily dose of inspiration. Thanks so much. You are welcome. Thank you for joining me. Mats127 says, hi. Mats127 says, hi, Josh. I've been busy the last 2 days taking photos of 700 toys and ready to go through List Easier. Appreciate the daily dose of motivation. I'm thankful that you guys all say that I motivate you. That feels good. But, I think the fact that you guys are here and you're building and you're doing things like taking photos of 700 toys, like that to me is motivation for me. That's inspiration for me. There are so many people out there. So everyone in this chat, focused operators, that's the way I'm going to treat you. And that's the way I think of you. You're focused business operators. There are many people out there just looking for the dopamine hits. So they're looking for those titles that are like, I'm closing my eBay store. And then he's like, for the weekend. And he does a whole video about it. Or you'll never guess what I found. And it's like those kind of dopamine hits, they don't actually move the needle forward. They don't help. They're fun to watch and they're entertaining. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. But as operators, if you're a serious operator, it doesn't push it forward. I always found for me, and if I'm that person for you, thank you all. But I always found for me that I learned the most when I pushed myself into uncomfortable areas. So I needed to learn, starting even 10 years ago, I needed to learn a lot about how businesses worked. When I see Scott's journey through reading all these books, watching all these podcasts, that was my journey too. Like I had to go through that journey as well and learn stuff that other people had done already. They did it successfully and then they wrote it down. Like here is the roadmap. So I read all this stuff to learn the roadmap. And that was in many ways uncomfortable and at times embarrassing because I would talk about things like TAM, or somebody would mention it to me like, hey, what's your TAM? And I was like, I don't know what that means. They're like total addressable market. And I'm like, I don't know. And they would say, you need to know that before you come talking to me. I learned all those things over the past 10 years. And moving myself into those uncomfortable areas is where I did the most learning. And I'm very thankful for that. So life's a learning process, never stops. Pico says, big thanks again, Josh, for steering me in the right direction and helping me focus on what actually works. My business is at a real turning point, and that's down to you, mate. It's all you, Keith. It's all you. You make those decisions. I'm a business friend. I'm here, doing the same thing. We're all in this together, but that's all you, Keith. So you should be patting yourself on the back for that one. Kenneth Oro says, what about a listings per hour calculator? like an odometer or something that showed you how many listings you did per hour. We may do some more features and inclusions in the dashboard, but we just have such meaty, meaty items on the roadmap right now. Those are, those are kind of like bells and whistles a little bit, those kinds of things. But we have some really good meat and potatoes that are on the roadmap that stuff's really going to push you all forward. So those are the things we want to launch. We want to get those things on, done, launched, because those are the things that's going to make you guys all more money, save you more time. And then, when we start being able to breathe a little bit and we start hitting our milestones or our standard or our benchmarks on this software, then we'll start looking at, adding some fun things to it. Spam Banshee Bridget says, aloha, good to see you, Spam. Welcome, welcome. Lucky Fine says, good morning. Accounts are looking good. Right on. That is awesome. Keep going, Lucky Finds. It's awesome. Eric Guta says, I am late, but I made it. Woke up to $100 in List Easier sales. Straight in the pocket, Eric Gunter. Congratulations. I'm late too, so we can be late together. It's all good. Diane Vanderlinden says, I enjoyed Primo's live yesterday, my first. Yeah, they do a very good job of putting a lot of effort and time into, making the podcast engaging and visually appealing. They're very good people. They're good with the sound and optics of the podcast. I've been friends with them for a long time. I consider them friends, but also good pieces of information. You can see them progress. They're open and honest. They've shared their ups and downs in this business and others. That I always appreciate, because those are the things that also help me learn. So right now, everybody watching, we can all say that the 500 of us or so that are watching, like, things are going pretty good, it seems like. We're saving time, getting more listings up, a lot of people making more money, all these things, business focused, lots has changed. If you're not there yet, don't worry about it. This is just part of the changeover. Everything's changing, but it wasn't always like that. A few years ago, it was a struggle. So sharing those low points, and you can watch some of my old videos or some of Primo's or James or any of them, they shared the lows as well. A lot of people didn't. They papered over it. So although they were experiencing the lows, they weren't experiencing those things on camera. In my opinion, it's harder to publicly experience the lows. You get piled on a little bit. You have the know-it-alls kind of, slingshotting at you in the comments, like all these things. That's harder to share. But when you do share those things, for some people, that's where the most learning happens. I hope that if you look back at some of my older videos, when I first started my business, you can see where my pitfalls were, largely, and how I improved over time. So, Diane, you opened something up. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate you. Spam Bridget says, it was awesome having you in the chat yesterday. Thanks for spending time with us. It was fun. Kittenville Hobby says, my hurdle is my son's cancer journey, then my wife's heart problems. I get so excited for 2 weeks getting eBay rolling to wind up leaning on a hospital bed rails for a month. Kittenville, this is a very honest and open thing, and I don't share it, but there are personal struggles happening also in my life, and many, many others. I totally get it. It's hard to operate with a clear headspace when it comes to business, when these personal things take priority. If you have the means, I would say always focus on those personal priorities. There's more time for business, but for people in our life, time is finite. You can put it down for a bit to focus on what's important in life. So I just know myself, and Kittenville, my condolences to you. I know it's hard. I totally understand. I don't want to even pretend to know what you feel like, but if I can relate it to how I felt, I over the past few years, when I first started my business, I went through some very dark times, and I was sharing that openly on here. Many sleepless nights. I can say my bottom was, I've told this story before, but I was sitting in a parking lot at 3 in the morning. I'd driven to a coffee shop parking lot, and I felt like I was having a nervous breakdown. I'm like, everything's going wrong. Everything is like, nothing is working. I'm trying my hardest. I don't know what to do. Everyone around me is saying you're not trying hard enough. You're doing it wrong and everything else. And it kind of broke me, you know? And looking back, uh, coming out of that, I'm now looking back and saying, and that was only 2 years ago. I can't believe how strong I was in that situation. So I hope that you have that same, you know, looking back and saying that was a defining moment in my life that changed who I was and how I react to things, and, you know, what my priorities were. Because it did for me. Diane says it was fun. Still haven't had my veggie wrap though. Nice. James Helfersay says, I remember when people would make fun of my volume. Those voices have gone silent in the last couple months. I guess they all got caught up. Welcome to the show. Yeah, the I don't see really the haters anymore in chat, but those people, James, they tend to come out when, like, haters tend to come out when you're struggling. So if you're going through something, and you were very public about the things you went through as well, you know, you had a lot of personal stuff happening. It seemed all happened in a group. That's when it makes them feel better to make you feel worse. That's when the real bad people come out. And I had the same thing going through that. But when things are clearly going well, just know that things are still not going well for those people, and they still see you, they still see it, but they see the inside. Like, it's the success that you have, you don't have to rub it in or anything, but the success that you have through your diligence and hard work all that time while they were making fun of you, and now you see all the success from those efforts, that burns people up even worse, because then you prove them wrong. You prove that you had the grit and the durability to do the things that you said you were going to do, no matter how hard it got, and they chose not to. And now you're in a different place and they're in the same place. And that's a very painful thing for those kind of trolls to watch. But I don't see them as much anymore. They don't show up as much anymore. Bridget says, I knew List Easier was enabling us to get more accomplished, but I was super impressed when Primo showed me the numbers, legit receipts. Yeah, it's real. It's definitely real. And the thing that is harder to quantify, so if you guys have done, with receipts, 2 years worth of business in 6 months. That in itself is incredible. But the thing that you can't quantify that's just as important, because it's the only thing that's finite, is time. You get more time back. So you can watch movies, you can go for a walk, you can go for a drive, like, do all these things that you never had time before to do, get on top of your business. It feels so much better when the thing that used to be the hard part is easy and fast, and it gives you more time to kind of take care of everything else. It's amazing to have that time back. I look back at, I'm talking about my silver videos, and in those videos, some of those videos, although it says that they're 11 or 12 years old, they're actually more like 15 years old, because they came from the other channel. And I just can't believe how young I was. And I'm like, where did the time go? I'm talking about buying a house. Well, that house, the mortgage is paid off. I've been in there for, almost 20 years now, or 17 years. I'm like, where did the time go? I see that person talking, and I'm like, that doesn't feel like that long ago. My son's going to high school next year. Like, it's crazy. I did videos when he was first born, and I'm holding him in my arms and we're sledding down a hill, and the time just goes like that. So we can't get time back, and we don't want to spend that time grinding and grinding and grinding, and we're grinding in things that aren't pushing the needle. Like, we're essentially getting worse in our business, become these frazzled, exhausted messes, and we're falling behind all the time. That's over. That died in 2025, 2024, I'll even say, but 2025 certainly. Mark it on the gravestone. Grinding is over. Grind culture is over. You don't have to do that anymore. And I refuse to. I'm not going back to that because we don't have to anymore. I would rather take the time to get better inventory, make better deals, get caught up on things like, even bookkeeping, taxes, organization. Man, it feels so much better to have all that time back. Packing and shipping. Okay. Thank you, Bridget. That unlocked something that I needed to say. Keith says, I took a step back and redirected my focus to expand and grow, building at least 4 income streams from one process. That business mindset came from Josh. Thank you, Keith. I appreciate you. This year is shaping up to be my best yet. Keep the foot on the gas. Congrats, Keith. That's awesome. That's awesome. Excuse me. Nothing would make me happier than 5 years' time. We're all having this conversation, and it's like, I can't believe how far we've all come. That's the conversation I want to be having in 5 years. I want to run into people on the street in 5 years' time, and they're like, my life now in 5 years is totally different, because that happened to me. I want that for everyone. 5 years, we all got to go to the eBay Open, and we just got to celebrate and have a blast. 5 years, okay? So put it on the calendar. In 5 years, it will be eBay 35. We're going to have a blast. We're going to go there, and we're all going to be there and have a great time. Let's mark that on the calendars. Kittenville Hobby says, I plan on bringing someone else in to keep eBay rolling. The good thing is with software, as long as your shipping is on, the software should make that very possible. If you do have people in your life that can help you out while you're going through things, that's a big step. Dendecor Depot says, hello, Josh. eBay errors galore for me today. Staking photos for List Easier. Yeah, it seems like the picture thing has reared its ugly head again. I think this time before it was missing pictures, and now it's like really small photos. I don't know why things happen the way they happen. It's a constant work in progress on the eBay site. I am really, get a chance sitting in this position to see how much work is being done on that site, and how advanced it actually is. And I'm thoroughly impressed with how eBay develops and manages that site. But of course, something that big with millions of users, it doesn't come without, every once in a while something's going to happen. I remember talking to an eBay employee like 3 or 4 years ago. And I said, it's tough because you got to work on the site while it's live. Fix things while it's live. And they said, it's like changing the tires on a car while it's speeding down the freeway. And for some reason that sank. I was like, oh yeah, that is virtually impossible. I get it. And now I see what he means as we develop our own software. I get it now. I see it. Travis Heidebrink says, do you think low dollar, low sell-through rate is the future of eBay and reselling? No. I mean, Travis, I think that you can do whatever you want with your own business. A thing I've said here over and over and over again is that AI software is a tool. You can put whatever you want into that tool, and then it's going to do its best to optimize that and put it out the other side so that more customers see it and hopefully buy the item for you. But it's putting it essentially in front of more customers through optimization. And it's saving you time. But if you choose, if you're like, wow, I can do so much now, I'm going to go to the Dollar General and buy tons and tons and tons of Dollar General stuff, and I'm going to list it all for $14.99, and it doesn't sell. That has nothing to do with the tools that you're using. It's not the AI software's fault. It's not the computer that you're using. It's not the computer's fault. It's not the label maker's fault. It's not the shelves' fault or the boxes. Any of these tools that you have in your business are not responsible for those decisions. That's the operator who made those decisions. It's up to you what you put in. And what you put in is what you will get back out. If you can find exceptional inventory as a reseller, you're going to get exceptional results. If you choose to find low grade, below par inventory, the software is going to do its best to optimize. It will optimize the listings, but it doesn't mean it's desirable or people are going to want it. When we buy, this is something that I learned years ago. But as an entrepreneur, your power is in your ability to say no. No, you don't have to buy things. Maybe that's not a good deal. No, I'm not buying it. Maybe I don't have time to do this. I'm sorry, but the answer is no, I don't have time to do this. Maybe I'm not going to put Dollar General items in my store. No, because it doesn't benefit my store. Your buys should be 99% no's. When you go to the thrift store, if you go to the thrift store, you don't buy everything. It should be 99% no's. You make that decision. So there are people who've purchased $20,000 worth of listed inventory for like $50 or $100. They know it's going to move slowly, but they're like, that's an outsized return. And at the end of the day, I can bundle it all up and sell it for $100 again. If in 5 years I'm sick of having it lying around, that's a whole other conversation. So it's really up to the operator what they want to do. I could get expired sanitizer for almost free. I could get cases and cases and cases of it and then put it through listing software, artificial intelligence listing software, and make these excellent, great listings, but no one's going to buy it. I could list it for $4 and no one's going to buy it. Those are my own decisions. So that's my opinion on that, Travis. And thank you for asking that. I think it was a good question. Like says, what simulator? The Goat simulator. Love that old one. Old school, but solid. Have you been in a Goat simulator? Lou Coin says eBay is having problems today. Boo. Boo, boo, boo. Well, I have not. I mean, I'm the worst one to ask, guys, because my own site is, like, my own store is winding down. So I would say lately I've been getting a lot of these $1 and $2 offers that I never used to get before, but I don't know, who's responsible or why. And I've been out all morning. Classic Phase says, hello, Josh. Good to see you, Classic Phase. Welcome. M. Cole says, just started using the software. So much better than I was hoping. Thanks, team. That's awesome, M. Cole. Let us know the results. The software is List Easier software. If it didn't do what we said it would do, I would be getting roasted, not only in the comments. It would be videos all over the internet. Our competitors, rather than trying to do what we're doing after we do it, they'd be roasting us. They'd be blowing us out of the water. They would be paying influencers to really talk bad about us. They would be hammering us. It would be everywhere. So it's important that, number one, for me, it's important that I don't overclaim what it does, but also that, if you're going to set the bar, you've got to clear that bar. You have to, you have to do what it says it's going to do, or you're going to get smoked. We would get destroyed. Even small little things, if on a rollout, if something doesn't go right, we'll have hundreds of people reach out and be like, hey, what's going on here? There's a responsibility on our part, M. Cole. This is unlocking this, so thank you for that. But we understand that everybody watching these videos, everyone using the software, they have become dependent on List Easier for their workflows. So this has replaced previous workflows. There are people spending lots of money on new warehouses, barns, new processes, new shelving. So that becomes our responsibility. So we don't take that lightly. So we're there for you, which is why we come here and do this live every single day. We have customer service. You can get hold of my phone number, Josh at List Easier. You can text me, whatever you need to do, email me, and we respond. That's why, because we understand. I know that if I were in that position, I want to be able to talk to someone. If I've been doing my business for 10 or 20 years and I'm changing everything, I want to make sure that on the other end of this camera, there's someone that I can get hold of. So anyway, that's that. So thank you for unlocking that. I thought I was going to come in here and be kind of like laid back a little bit after that drive, but I feel charged right now. John J. UK says, hey, Josh, I'm looking forward to seeing the Profit Playbook Podcast 100th episode spectacular this weekend. Yeah, we're recording that in about 15 minutes. I'm excited for that. I know John, Beard, and Primo have been working on this. Admittedly, I was straight up with them. I'm like, guys, I don't know how much I can contribute to this because it's just so busy right now. But whatever you need, I'm here for you. But I don't, I feel very out of the loop with it. But they've been working very, very hard on it. So it'll be exciting to see what that looks like on Saturday. And of course, you're all welcome to join us at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Den Decor says, focus is a loose term. Yes. But the horrors persist, and so do we. I always think of this time I saw, it was like a heron and it grabbed a duckling in a park. And the mother ran back to the heron, and then another heron like grabbed another duckling and essentially ate almost all the ducklings, these two herons. And the mother duck just kind of swam away with the one or two ducks that were left. And I thought to myself, life is hard for everything. Every living thing life is hard for. Life's not easy. But yeah, the horrors persist. And even when things are hard, we have to keep going. We don't have a choice. Kenneth Oro says the calculator on your website. Has something changed with the calculations? I'll have to take a look. Keith says, I still have that sign on my walls that says, Josh is watching you. Very motivating. I have a photo. So this is going to be interesting and kind of weird, but I have a big poster in my office, and it's of Tom Berenger when he played Sergeant Barnes in the movie Platoon, which was directed by Oliver Stone. And in that movie, it's really interesting because when they brought the actors to film the movie, like you see movies now and it's not really convincing, but Platoon for some reason is very, very convincing. Well, they brought all those actors into the Philippines and they had actual military sergeants telling these guys what to do, like dig holes, do this, do that. And these guys got so exhausted and beat down, and they didn't have enough water and they didn't have enough food. And it was under those conditions they filmed the movie. So there's this point in time where Sergeant Barnes, he's staring like this. One of their platoon members, Manny, was just killed, and he's staring at the carnage. And he has this 1,000-yard stare, or 100-yard stare, and his face is all scarred up. And I have a photo of that, or a poster of that, in my office above my desk. And there are times where things are very hard in business. They're just things, you just get a grouping. You all know what I'm talking about because you're all running businesses where things get very, very hard. And I look up at that and I tighten my mind. I'm like, we just keep going. Today is a day where we just have to get to the next day. Even in good times, I have that sometimes, where sometimes it feels a little overwhelming, and I look at that and I'm like, that's an emotion. keep going, strengthen your mind. And it's always been there, and it's always been very motivating. I've had that up for about a year now. It's really helped me through. I don't know why that resonates with me, but I look at it, Tom Berenger, and I'm like, tighten it up. Tighten it up. We got this. James Helferstay says, someone just commented on my video today saying that there are no eBay problems, not just shipping labels, but my offers are not working again. Cannot send any to watchers. They're constantly working on the site. 100%. We get a lot of requests for eBay support, which I think I kind of take that as, it's like a badge of pride. Like, oh, you can't really differentiate. Some customers are like, can't really differentiate between us and eBay. So they're asking us eBay customer support questions, which feels good, actually. It feels nice because we do consider ourselves to be very deeply integrated with eBay. But I don't know what is all going on with their devs. And then that's not me saying anything good or bad, but this thing, technology is moving so quickly. They got to keep up or else they're going to be behind. And I think that requires constant work. They are working on this car while it's speeding down the highway, and they don't have a choice, because if they don't, they're going to fall behind, and the pace is so quick. Like, James, the technology that we had when you were first beta testing, call it 8 months ago. Think about how far List Easier has come from 8 months ago to now. It's not even recognizable anymore, It's moving so quickly. Kittenville Hobby says, thank you, Kittenville, for joining us today. I know you're going through a lot, and hopefully we can just take your mind off of it. Talk a little bit of business amongst friends and just get your mind off of it, because I know you got a lot going on. Spam says, what would Josh do? Bearded Picker says, James, even the labels I got done are showing need shipping. Serious cluster right now. Boo. Boo. Down detector is spiking. Dendacor says a workaround to the label issue is using the eBay app to scan and add tracking. Kittenville Hobby says, oh, my favorite glitch happened 3 years ago. 10 of my listing photos all went upside down and I had to register them. That's interesting. Keith says, my sign is Josh is watching you, and the other side is, what would John do? John would say, ask Josh. I'm just kidding. Spam Banshee says, if we all see these glitches, what are buyers experiencing? There's an interesting... I'll say this about eBay. eBay derives its revenue from its buyers, from your buyers. Okay. Your buyers, that's where they derive their revenue from, whether it be directly or indirectly. So you are a seller on eBay. You are eBay's customer, but your buyer, that's the golden goose. So whatever eBay does to the platform, they're going to protect the buyers, because they don't have sellers if they don't have buyers. They have to protect the buyers. They're the number one. I don't know that there's a trade-off that by doing that, you kind of make it a little bit worse for the sellers. I don't know. I'm not going to say that. But the buyers are the golden goose, right? That's what pays everybody. That's eBay can only charge fees. They can only do all these things that they do if the sellers are there, and the sellers can only do that if the buyers are there. So the buyers are the start of the chain. But make no mistake about it. Sellers are eBay's customers, but the buyer is how everybody gets paid. That's what pays everybody. That's what keeps this whole thing going and alive. So they will always operate and pile like risk averseness into the buyer side. That's, whoa, don't go there. That's a line we don't cross. We don't cross that line, because that's where everyone derives their revenue from. So I'm a firm believer in that. Missy B says, good morning. Finally done with the first of my photos for the day. I may not be grinding listing, but but now it moved to grinding photos. A good change, I think. Yeah, I was watching ADH Dave today. He was doing List Easier listings. He did a video earlier, and I put a post up. I'm like, this guy is answering comments, filming a video, and talking, like doing a video, just talking about random stuff. He's not even really watching, and he's taking photos. He listed like $4,000 worth of stuff while he's, not the entire time doing the video, but I'm like, you got 3 or 4 things going on and you're listing onto eBay, making money. So even here, we put movies on or TV shows or music and just kind of go through it. You can do a couple different things and kind of enjoy it. Put some YouTube videos on. I bet you so many people right now listening to this, they're working. They're listing, they're doing their stuff on List Easier. They're packing, whatever the case may be. And it's just like, hey, this is a business friend that's with me. We're working together. Den Decor Depot says, just sold a bundle of religious VHS tapes on Poshmark. Multiple streams for sure. That is awesome. Congratulations on that. Jeanette says, hi, just got here. Love the solutions you offer. Before we send off a support ticket, really helped yesterday, and I didn't have to bother support. Yeah, this is the thing, Jeanette, about some things are just little tiny issues it's just something the user is missing. So that's why we have that kind of first line of support a lot of times that can help you with whatever's going on. You don't really need to talk to someone if you don't want to, or you can if you want. One of the issues we noticed with batches is that people will skip that whole first page where you got to put in you got to create the batch. So when you're using List Easier and you're doing the batch listings, you have to put in, do you want AI to figure out the item specifics? Are you going to add some, which is always better to add some of your own. It gives it context. All those things. So all those things have to go in, and then you go to the point where you add the pictures. Well, they skip that whole part. So when they go to add pictures or they import their pictures, it's all a mess. So they're like, doesn't work for me. But the problem was you didn't set up the batch in the first place. They just skipped it. They didn't see it. So it's stuff like that where that kind of helps. And that's a big issue. I'm not saying that's what you had. That's somebody who had a big issue, but sometimes it's just a small little thing, and it can help walk through and make it a little bit easier. So that's why that's there. And I mean, we get a lot of questions, like eBay customer support questions, like, why did this item get taken down off my eBay account? It's not even a List Easier item, but like maybe eBay took it down for a Vero. We don't really deal with Veros. Like that has nothing to do with us. Or, eBay suspended my account, and I'm in Pakistan, but I registered it in the UK, and it's like, dude, that has not, we're not eBay. Like, don't register an account in the UK if you live in Pakistan and then sell 100 iPhones, maybe. I don't know. I don't know why I'm telling you all this. Am I sharing too much? Kittenville Hobby says, we, as far back as I can remember, the reseller company was and is our eBay support, the reseller community. Yeah, it's a great community. It's a great bunch of people, especially when you get serious operators. Like when you have serious people who are all doing the same thing, everybody wants to see everyone succeed. So I think it's great too. Keith says, okay, got to go. Just needed to say that I acknowledge Josh for all that he does. Thank you, Keith. I appreciate you as well. What he does for us all, not just me. I wish I could find the exact live that Josh did that changed everything for me and my business. Well, thank you, Keith. I appreciate you. This is very nice of you to say. Oh, Jeanette says, my issue solution was just turning the iPad to put in dimensions. See, that stuff is all these unique things. It's very cool. Very cool. Time to Sell Collectible says, I use List Easier batches with 3 to 5 photos for a list easier to create the listings, but I like to add additional photos after uploaded to eBay. Keep getting incompatible error message from eBay, and I have to delete up and upload original list easier photos with additional. Still saves time. Yeah, I would just time to sell collectibles. I think you'll save the most time if you just get all the photos in just to begin with, rather than having to go back and deleting and playing all those sorts of things, doing all those sorts of things. It's up to you. It's your business, however you want to run it. But yeah, that's an issue with capture going back into the browser, being hosted by a third party, getting sent back to eBay for re-ingestion. Third party host doesn't want photos that are, brought in directly from the eBay filing system. It's this whole complicated thing, but this is a partnership that we are working on with that third party, but it is very, it's going to take some time. Grams and Pops Corey says, good afternoon, fellow resellers. Corey, great to see you. And with that, Corey, I'm out of here. Thank you all. Join us on the Profit Playbook podcast on Saturday. I'd love to see you all there. And thank you again, everyone. And we'll see you in the next video tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Take care.